Okay, welcome everybody. We're going to have a very interesting evening ahead of us here. We're going to really get clear about our source of happiness. And on this session, I'm going to be reading a lot of Lester. And because he puts it in plain, simple words, what happiness is and where we can find it. And even though a lot of us know this intellectually, as I read from Lester, I want you to seriously pay attention to this, because a lot of us get too smart. You see, we have to be really careful about the ego. The ego will grasp on to whatever method that we're doing. It'll grasp on to the releasing method, it'll grasp on to yoga, meditation, whatever, and make it into a thing. And manipulate it so that it promotes the ego rather than promoting beingness. So all of us get caught into this trap, and we have to really pay attention to it. So even if you already know what Lester says about happiness, I want you to pay close attention to this and make sure that you're actually applying it. All right. So here's what Lester says. Everyone wants a continuous happiness with no sorrow whatsoever. And no one is ever satisfied until he or she finds that. Everyone is seeking what we are all seeking. The major difference is that they are seeking it in the world and are frustrated, while we are seeking it within and are successfully becoming happier. When we go within, we discover that all happiness is there inside of us. The only place where we can feel happiness is right within ourselves. That is exactly where it is. Every time we attribute this happiness to something external, to a person or thing external, we get more pain with it than we do pleasure. And some of you have heard Lester say this before. For every ounce of pleasure that you take from the world, you get pounds of pain. And he actually went on. He said, for every ounce of pleasure, you get pounded with pain. And we don't realize it. We think, no, that happiness is really good. I know I get a little bit of pain with it, but the joy, the pleasure is more. It isn't. You really get 10 times more pain to the pleasure that you extract from the world. Look for it. You'll find that. All right, so back to Lester. So, is there anybody that disagrees with that? If you have experienced enough, if you have lived long enough, and if you have examined it, you'll discover this. The happiness that we are seeking and thinking is out there, external to us, isn't there. The happiness with no sorrow can only be found by going within. That's point number one. Now, point number two is that this great happiness that we're all seeking is nothing but our very own self and our very own beingness. Our most basic inherent nature is this thing that we are seeking, and it is ours, here and now. We are that happiness that we are seeking, looking for it externally and not finding it there. Looking within, we discover it to be our very own self, unencumbered with our self-imposed limitations. There is not one of us who is not in direct touch with, in possession of, an infinite beingness that is all perfect, all present, all joyous, and eternal. There is not one of us who is not in direct contact with that right now. But due to wrong learning, by assuming over ages, concepts of limitation. By looking outwardly, we have beclouded the view. We have covered over this infinite being that we are with concepts of, I am this physical body. I am this mind. With this physical body and mind, I have to discover, I have heaps and heaps of problems and troubles. So in order to find this truth, this unlimited being that we are, we must do one thing: quiet the mind. And finally, let go of the mind. And only in this way we may achieve it. The mind is nothing but the sum total of all thoughts. All thoughts are concepts of limitation. Every single one. If any one of us could stop thinking right now and remain that way, they would be an unlimited being from this moment on. It is really that simple, though not necessarily easy to accomplish. The job is to first undo negative thinking in order to get positive enough so that we may go in the right direction. Then to drop all thinking, to drop all negative and all positive thinking. When that happens, we discover that we are in the realm of knowingness, of omniscience. We have no need to think, as everything is known, and we are all joyous and totally free. Knowing everything, there's nothing to think about. Thinking is just relating things to other things, connecting things together. Knowing everything, we know the unity, the oneness, and there's no necessity for relating things by thought. Thereby, we are free of all concepts of separation and limitation. This leaves us free to use a mind should we want it in order to communicate with the appearancy of the world. So, what Lester's pointing out here is the simplicity of our direction here. To go within ourselves for all of our happiness and to have a determination to drop all of our thinking. Not only the negative thinking, but also the positive thinking. And this is someplace where a lot of us get stuck, even those of us on this spiritual path, because we go and we listen to Lester talk, we listen to Eckhart Tolle talk, Muji, various masters, and we just listen, but we don't really apply what they're saying. We're using their words as a substitute, and we're actually accumulating those words into our mind and linking them together. So we can, like what Lester's talking about, we start linking concepts. So we start linking what Eckhart Tolle says to what Lester says. And then we start connecting and say, well, Lester said something this time, but he contradicted himself that time. And then we're just thinking about it, and we try to build our knowledge so we can understand beingness, which is a complete waste of time. We're never going to understand it. The more we try to understand it in our mind, the more limited we are. And we get blinded by it because what we accumulate in our mind seems awfully positive. And we can walk around sharing positive things and appear to be positive. And it's not true. The only way to be positive is to drop the mind and just be. So that's what we're going to work on this evening. We're going to go in this focus. So as we work together, I'm going to lead you into just dropping all of your thinking, dropping all of your concepts. And there you will discover your happiness. Now, in the chat, got a really good question here, and we'll cover this later. Somebody asked if I could talk about why we get sucked back into the mind after we've experienced freedom of mind. And what makes us start buying into the garbage again? Is it pure habit? So we're going to cover this a little bit later. This is an excellent question. All right, but first, I'm going to do a little guided meditation. So wherever you are, just get yourself nice and quiet. And as best as you can, set aside any distractions. And take a look at what you need in your life from the world in order to be happy. Take a look at what it is that you're holding on to. What makes you happy? Now, as you think about this, there's obviously part of you that's attracted to this, that wants to hold on to it. But if you bring your focus to your stomach or chest, in fact, close your eyes and put your head down towards your stomach or chest so you could really pay attention to what you're feeling here. And even this positive thing that you need in order to be happy. You may even notice with a positive thing you have a contraction, a tightness in your stomach or chest. Just take a look. And that is your body letting you know the lack that is coming with that. It's right there, along for the ride. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the suffering that is going along with that thing that makes you happy. And there could be lots of reasons for this, mentally. If you wanted to play Dr. Phil with yourself, you could say, well, maybe you have a fear of losing it. Or if it's somebody in your life that makes you happy, a significant other, a child, you're afraid of something bad happening to them, and that is part of what you're feeling in that tightness or contraction. And that doesn't help you to carry around that lack, that limitation, that what if. And also, that tightness is showing your ego, which is a very negative thing. And it is constantly beating you down. And when you say, I'm holding on to this thing because it makes me happy, you're also holding on to your ego. And thereby holding on to a great deal of pain. So, first thing I want you to do is wherever you feel that tightness or contraction, open up an imaginary door or window right in front of it, whichever suits you best. Just imagine that window or door opening, and that energy that's in that contraction, that's all bunched up there, that's all clenched up. Now just allow that energy to go right on out the door now. Allow that energy to leave. And allow it to leave some more. And allow it to leave some more. And even more. And if it helps, you could use your imagination. You could visualize that energy moving out the door, whatever that looks like to you. There's no wrong way to visualize it. So just watch that energy leave. And watch it leave some more. And some more. And even more. And even more. Now notice how you feel. Just notice if you feel a little bit lighter. All right, that's showing you're moving towards happiness. And that lighter feeling is your beingness that Lester was pointing out. The real you. That is you. You are that lighter energy. So open up that door and invite up some more, wherever that came from. Pull up some more negativity now. See, you've spent far too long, not just this lifetime, many lifetimes, accumulating this negativity, accumulating these concepts of limitation, which basically says, I need things outside of me to make me happy, to make me feel in control, to give me security. And I need to arrange all these things in my life so I can be happy, so I can feel at ease, have peace of mind. And by now, especially with this whole lockdown situation and the pandemic and all this nonsense, we see how easy it is for all the things that we rely on to be happy, how they could be taken away from us. So you see, the more you hold on to your happiness outside of you, the more vulnerable you are. And you will eventually have the rug pulled out from underneath you. Because whatever it is that you're holding on to out there, even people, guess what? None of it is true. Every bit of that is in your mind. It's false. And because it's false, it must disappear like everything else in the universe. It's false. And everything comes and goes. So the more you hold on to it, the more you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And your clue that this is right is the contraction in your stomach or chest. So think about something in your life that you have right now that makes you happy. People, things, maybe life experiences, things that you like about yourself, you're satisfied about yourself, but they're mental concepts. And whatever it is that you have, just think about losing it. Think about losing all of your possessions. Think about losing your loved ones. Think about losing your ability to do the things that you like to do in the world permanently. And bring your focus to your stomach or chest. See if that brings up a contraction, a clenching feeling. And that shows you how precarious you are in holding on to your happiness out there. And that's showing how weak you're making yourself, and you're doing that. That's not smart. And you're the only one who can take the steps to move to a stronger position, to find your strength from within. So open up. Open up that window or door right in front of that contraction. And let that energy go out the door now. Just let it leave. And let it leave some more. And some more. And some more. And even more. And even more. And it's just energy. Don't make anything out of it. Don't try to analyze it, understand it. Who cares where it came from? How long it's been there? No, it's just energy. That's all you need to know. Just open up and let it leave. And let it leave some more. And even more. And even more. And notice how you feel now. Now, be honest with yourself. What is it that you really want from the world that you're refusing to let go of? Because I know a lot of you understand where Lester's coming from. You understand the way. And you know that the way is letting go of desire, quieting your mind. But part of you is saying, yeah, I hear you, but I'm not going to do it. I'd rather hold on to this thing. It's more important to me. And I don't fully trust that what you're telling me is going to bring me that happiness that I think this thing gives me. And I've seen a lot of people agree with Lester, agree with the other teachers of this method, say, yeah, I know it all. And maybe they'll practice it a little bit, but then they turn right around and go right into holding on to that thing. It's like Gollum from the Lord of the Rings. My precious, my precious. And look for yourself. Be honest with yourself. What are you holding on to? What are you afraid to let go of? What do you think that you'll miss if you really let go of your desire, drop your mind, and go free? What's the worst thing that could happen? What would you lose? And notice when you think about that, in your stomach or chest, is there a contraction there? You notice that? And that's showing you the lack that you're carrying with you right now. And while you think that that thing makes you happy and you squeeze a little bit of happiness, you see all this time you're carrying this pain with you. This pain of limitation and lack. And this pain runs deep. See, you've been doing this for lifetimes. And you've become an expert at looking away from this negativity, avoiding it, pretending that it's not there, numbing it out. And so you're pretending that it's not there and pretending that you don't feel it so much. And that's why you often don't notice how deep this pain runs and how big it is. And it really is big. But now that you just see the contraction, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Go ahead and open up. Open up that door right now. Let that energy go. And let it go even more. And even more. And even more. And let it go even more. And even more. It's just energy passing through. That's all it is. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just energy. Open up. Let it leave. And let it leave some more. And even more. And how does that feel? Does it feel better? Lighter? Do you feel happier? More peaceful? Your mind is a little bit quieter? And see, this is what you must do. You spent so long accumulating this garbage. Now it's up to you to reverse the process and let it out. And nobody can do this for you. It'd be great if someone could just come along and tap you on the head, take all of your negativity away, and you'd be free. That'd be fantastic. But it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately, a lot of us, I guess maybe because we're lazy, or because we just don't want to go in this direction. We'd rather hold on to these concepts of limitation, these things that we think make us happy. We avoid doing the thing that will bring us real happiness. And we go and we look for someone else to do it for us because we can't be bothered doing it ourselves. And so we bounce around from method to method, from teacher to teacher. Go try this thing. Oh, I'm not satisfied with this. Let's go try this. And, like Lester pointed out, we use our thinking, which is not necessary. And we use it to start connecting and assimilating things, which, again, isn't necessary. And we do this with various methods and teachings. So we try to make it like a buffet. Okay, let me have a little bit of this, and a little bit of this, and a little bit of this. And it's all a waste of time. You're not really digging, doing the things that will reverse this accumulation of garbage. You're just kind of playing with it, or maybe just skimming off the surface. So you got to really pay attention to what you're doing. If you want results, you got to do two things. Number one, keep it simple. And two, have an attitude of, I'm going to do it, whatever it takes. All right? So I'll leave you with that. It's your decision. So what do you decide? Okay, so I'll go ahead and open up the call here, this coaching call to you. So if there's something that you would like to work on in particular, maybe it's a challenge that you have right now with this ongoing situation, although now it's getting better and better. I heard last week they lifted all the lockdowns in Romania, which was pretty stringent previously. All right. Shook. Right, say something, Ashok.
Yes, Ashok.
Okay, there you are. I just saw your smiling face in the window. By the way, if you're on YouTube, if you're watching the live stream, you can go into the description. If you want to participate and interact, you'll see a link there so you can join us on Zoom, and this way we can talk to each other. Okay, so Ashok, you're in the current 6-week course, Finding Your True Purpose, Living Your True Purpose course right now.
Yes.
And you said you're feeling guilty about not doing the homework.
Yes.
Now,
I had a
first,
very good I had a very good quiet mind this morning for probably 45 minutes
mm-hmm.
to do the home.
Say that again?
I said I had a very good quiet mind this morning for 45 minutes.
Uh-huh. Okay, well, that's
But,
good.
Got out and then again sitting for this course, and then so I did not do homework, so I just started feeling it.
Okay. Well, look, we talked about this on the class.
Yes.
And I said, look, you just have to get bigger than your ego.
Yes.
Because you see, your ego does not want to do this work. Your ego will do everything to sabotage you. This is what I've been talking about all along so far in here. See, the ego will lead you astray. It'll even grasp onto this method and lead you in a direction where you're not actually doing it. You think you are, but you're not, right? And it's really simple. You just have to get bigger than it. So what's stopping you from doing the work?
Other assignments, other stuff, business.
Uh-huh. And what's the conflict?
Conflict, I don't have enough time.
Okay. Well, that's a lie. You do have enough time. You got plenty of time. It's your willingness to do it. To either sit down and focus on it, or do it while you're doing other stuff. What's stopping you from doing that? See, look, you got no excuses here. All right? So what is it really? Do you have some resistance to doing the homework? To doing the exercises?
I think I have more priorities on making money, I guess.
Okay. So you think money makes you happy? Happier than freedom?
No.
Now, I'm not telling you not to make money. I'm
Right.
just saying, look, you're making excuses.
Yes. I got to make a commitment.
All right. So what'll happen if you make some time to do the homework?
I will make time.
All right. Now, when you look at that, does that bring up a clenching, a tightness? No?
I feel courageous.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, look, there's plenty of time if you see
Yes.
it, if you look for it.
Yes.
Now, look, I used to be someone who didn't have time for anything. I was always overwhelmed, always rushing around. And back then, when I just had no time, I was doing 1/10 of what I'm doing right now. Believe it or not. I thought I was super busy and doing all this stuff. But now I'm doing 10 times more and I
Yes.
have all the time in the world. You could probably see how dark my face is. I just got back from the beach here this afternoon. Come back and do this call.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, look, the whole thing is just a concept in your mind. Time
Yes.
is just a limitation in your mind. It's only in your mind. Because time doesn't even exist, and you know that. You've experienced it. You've stepped into the timeless. You know it.
Got it.
All right? So take a look at your mind. Look at that program that's running in your mind. And what decision did you make about time? And how
From
old
that,
were you, and how old were you when you made that decision?
probably very young age.
Uh-huh. Right. So somebody told you something. Maybe your parents, maybe your teacher, and you agreed with it. You just bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. And you see, it's just a story in your mind right now.
Yes.
See, right now, as you're looking at this story, it's only in your mind.
Yes.
Now, could you let go of that story? Just dissolve it right now.
Yes.
And dissolve it some more.
Yes.
And dissolve it some more. And dissolve it some more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
All right. And because this is kind of a basic call, I'm just going to keep these processes simple and basic, very direct. But you can go deeper. You know what to do. Take a look to see what it is that you're wanting in time and what it is that you're not getting,
Yes.
right? You see, you're pushing yourself
Yes.
and you feel that you're limited. You're having to make compromises, make decisions,
Yes. That's what's happening.
right?
Yeah.
And you're just falling into your mind because it's only in your mind
Yes.
that you have a limitation of time,
Got it.
all right? And so part of you is fighting with that.
Yeah.
You have a lacking in that,
Right.
right? So get in touch with that.
Yes.
And where is your ego involved in that? You got a desire there
Yes.
to
Ego
have
wants
more
approval.
time, to do more, have more, make more money. Could you let that wanting go? And could you stop listening to your ego?
Yes.
And let go of wanting more time.
Yes.
If you let go of wanting more time, you'll see you got all the time in the world.
Yes.
And you'll laugh your head off. You'll see what a joke you've been playing on yourself.
Yes.
Right? So could you let go of wanting more time?
Yes.
And could you let it go some more? And could you let it go some more?
Yes.
And could you let it go some more?
Yes.
And could you let it go some more? All right.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Feeling lighter and
Mm-hmm.
getting control over my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling better.
Right. Now, what'll happen to you if you stop going along with this program? If you stop having to devote all of your time to the things that you think are important,
Right.
right? Following along these instructions from your mind. No, seriously, if you stop doing that, what's the worst thing that'll happen to you?
Nothing.
All right?
Nothing would happen.
Okay.
I
So,
will,
so what would happen if you took the whole week off and did nothing but releasing?
wow. That would be nice.
Okay. Are there
Yes.
any bad consequences? You'll lose business. Your family won't like it. Anything like that?
My own mind would drive me crazy. Let's go get this thing, get this thing. Lots of
Your mind.
opportunities.
Yeah, but what do you do about that? Now,
I got
if
to
you
be
commit the whole week to releasing, how's your mind going to get you?
no. This then is done.
Okay,
I
so
was.
take take a look.
I did that 10 days.
Take a look to see if you're resisting your mind.
I am. Yes.
Okay. Now, what happens when you resist your mind? Is it making your
No
mind go
problem.
away,
Fighting,
or is it make it stronger?
making it more stronger.
Right. And who's doing the resisting?
I am doing the resistance.
Okay. So if it's getting you the opposite of what you'd like, can you stop that?
Yes.
Could you let go of resisting your mind?
Yes.
And could you let go of resisting it some more?
Yes.
And look, what a silly thing it is to resist it. What are you resisting? It's just a sound in your head.
Yes.
Have you ever met your mind? Ever?
No.
Has it ever come up and knocked on the door? Invited itself to dinner?
Nope.
No, it's just a sound in your head.
Yes.
You don't even know that it exists. But you think that it does, and you think that you have to listen to it. And that's why you're resisting it. Because you're making it
You
out to
got
be
the.
real.
You got it right. Yes.
All right, so look, could you let go of resisting it so you could find out that it's not real?
Yes.
Could you let go of resisting it some more?
Yes.
And could you let go of resisting it some more? And could you let go of resisting it some more? And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Absolutely beautiful.
Good?
Yes.
All right. So now, think about taking the whole week off.
No resistance.
Okay. All right. So can you let go of that resistance?
Yes.
Who does that resistance belong to?
Me.
It belongs to you. Right? And it's not a big deal. It's just a feeling. That's all it is. Right? So just say yes to that feeling of resistance.
Yes.
Say yes to it so it can leave now.
Yes.
And say yes to
Yes.
it even more.
Yes.
And say yes to it even more.
Yes.
And say yes to it even more.
Yes.
Does that feel lighter?
Very light, very peaceful.
Good. Now let go of the rest of that resistance. Let it all go. Get courageous. Say, I don't care what happens. I don't care if the whole world comes and slams me. I'm letting go of resisting it. I don't care if my
Yes.
mind comes down on me like a ton of bricks and just gets loud and aggressive. I don't care. I'm going to let go of resisting it. I don't care if my mind wins. I'm going to let go of resisting it. Can you get courageous?
Yes.
And drop that resistance.
Yes.
All of it. Let me know when it's all gone.
I'm clear, 100%. No resistance.
All right, good. So how do you feel about doing the homework?
I can do it.
All
I'll do
right.
it.
Good. Do it tonight. And as you know, I do my best to assist you with it. So I upload these extra guided videos, guide you through
Yes, sir.
the exercises. And I just uploaded one this morning that takes you back to the big assignment that we had from week 1, about
Okay.
really getting clear on all the things that you want to do in life so you can get crystal clear and
Okay.
set them in motion. All right. So
Yes.
start with that because it's really easy. You just
Okay.
hit play and follow along.
It's guided, yeah.
Yeah. And then go from there to then just doing it on your own.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Right. All right. So let me oh, where did Baxter go? Okay, Baxter had a question earlier, but I can't find you. All right, Eric. Are you there, Eric?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Hey, how are you doing?
Okay. Okay.
Are you still in Iowa, or did you decide to move?
No, I'm still here. I,
You
I,
decided
I
to stay?
decided,
Yeah?
I decided with the COVID-19 pandemic, people aren't doing much. They're not going anywhere. And I don't, this, the pandemic has changed a lot of things for me. So, and it's changed things for all of us. So,
Uh-huh. Okay.
yeah.
All right. So you said that you resist others telling you what to do or how to do something?
Yeah.
Like the government? Telling you to stay at home?
Well, no, I mean, well, I mean that too, but I mean,
More directly.
yeah, I mean, I've had a very strong program for years of just really resisting and resenting it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
no, we all have this same program. Call it Don't Tell Me What to Do. F you, I'll do it my way.
yeah,
All right. And look, see, this attitude goes with the method. We hear Lester, and what he says sounds great, but part of us inside says, F you, don't tell me what to do. I'm
yeah,
going to keep my ego. I'm going to keep playing my games, holding on to things that I think make me happy. And we don't even realize it. And then we rationalize it. And then we bounce around, we do different things, and we try like new ways of doing the method. Oh, the 6 steps isn't good enough anymore. I need to make it into something extra special. Right? And so
yeah,
it's all mind traps. Right? And you see, it starts with your ego. This program that says, don't tell me what to do. Now, how does that help you to have that resistance and have that program? Don't tell me what to do.
Well, it gets in the way, definitely.
Okay. Now, who
Yeah.
put that in there? Did
Well,
somebody
I
give
did.
it to you?
Well,
Or
I guess I mean I put it in there.
yeah. I mean, go back. When was the first time you experienced this program? Don't tell me what to do.
Oh, years ago when my father was a very old school type of dad. It was you do it my way or else, and so I did it. I mean, just out of fear.
Mm-hmm.
But I find that with when dealing with people, generally speaking, it's like oftentimes uh, they're not trying to give you helpful, positive feedback by telling you what to do. They just do it just out of sheer meanness. So my resistance is like saying, okay, well, if you're doing this just to hurt me or hurt my feelings in some way, then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you made a decision. You didn't like your dad, directing
Right.
your life, telling you what to do.
Right.
And what you decided is, I'm going to get you back. Whatever
Yeah.
it takes, I'm going to get you back. Now,
Yeah.
when you put that information in the mind, it just starts running. And that mind has no discrimination. It's like a shotgun blast. It just goes in every direction. So it's not just your dad, it's yourself and everybody else that you're taking this attitude. Don't tell me what to do. I'm going to get you. Right? Have you seen that play out?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. And again, see, you made that decision. Now, go back to when your dad was saying all this stuff to you, doing what he was doing, back when you were a boy. And
Right.
just step right back into your shoes. Go right back into that story, that picture.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, do you feel some energy there
Oh,
in your
yes.
stomach or chest?
Definitely a lot.
Okay. See, that energy's been there this whole time, all these years.
Right.
Now that you see it, you can let it go. Open up. Let that energy leave.
Yes.
And let that energy leave even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And let that energy leave even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And let it leave even more.
Yes.
And let it leave even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Yeah, it's leaving.
Okay, good. Invite up some more. And open up that door even wider. Just let that energy spill out. And just get out of the way. Watch it just pour out
Yes.
like a fire hose. And just sit back and watch it. Watch it leave.
Yes.
And how do you feel now?
Well, much more at ease.
Now pull up the rest of it. So you're in a higher place. You feel easier, lighter. Now you can
Yes.
reach down and just pull up all that negativity, all that resistance. You see, it's just a feeling. It's just energy. It's not a big deal. Bring it up. Even if you have to feel it for a moment or two while it comes up and leaves, so what? Just bring it all up and let it all go now. And let me know when it's all gone.
Okay.
Okay? Now, how do you feel about somebody telling you what to do?
Well, I don't feel the resistance to it as before.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Now, what's the big deal? Like, even if they're wrong, so what? Would you be willing to set your ego aside, get your ego out of the way, and just do what somebody says? Hey, you better do that. And you just, okay, I'll do it. Maybe your mind is telling you that you're weak if you do that. That you
yeah,
shouldn't do that.
and what came to mind though is, well, what if they're wrong? Like, say, say if I'm working and my boss tells me to do something, but he doesn't know that
Okay,
particular.
okay, Eric, I understand. I'm not telling you to actually do it. I'm just saying imagine doing that. And you see, you got some objections here. That's ego. That doesn't help you. See, how does it help you to resist even somebody that's wrong? And that resistance is blinding you. Do you get that?
Um, oh gosh.
Look,
Um,
look, if you had no resistance, even if somebody told you to do something that was wrong, you don't need resistance to protect yourself from that. You could say no without resistance. You could say no to them with a smile and be fully loving, but you don't feel loving right now, do you?
no, no.
Right. So pay attention to that. That's your ego right there. Does that ego help you?
No.
Right. So could you let that go? Who's the owner of it? Who's the one who's making these decisions to either keep the ego or let it go?
Yeah.
All right. So let it go. Let go of your ego.
Yes.
Let go of whatever it is that you're wanting.
Yes.
And let that go some more.
Yes.
And let that go some more.
Yes.
And let that go some more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
I'm at a neutral place.
All right. And what if there's really nothing going on? then what's the big deal? I'm just saying, what if, right?
Mhm.
If there's nothing going on, what difference does it make whether you do something or not? See, here's the thing. It doesn't matter what you do or don't do. It's just the quality of your presence in the moment. See, a free one is somebody that has no preference. To a free one, their feeling is, well, I could be a prince or I can be a beggar. It makes absolutely no difference. And I could be on a beach or I can be digging a ditch. And it makes no difference. In both of those scenarios, I'm happy. I am fully happy. That's where a free one is coming from. Right?
Mhm. Yes.
So what is it that your ego doesn't like about doing something that it thinks is wrong?
I'll be blamed for a bad outcome.
Okay. And that stirs up a wanting in you, right? Could you let that wanting go? That
Yes.
desire. Drop that desire now.
Yes.
And let that go some more.
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 Yes.
And some more.
Yes.
And how do you feel now?
Much calmer.
Yeah. And do you feel more in charge? Like you could say no, but without resistance.
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, if you're calm and peaceful, you're more connected with beingness. And like I read from Lester earlier, it's in a place of all-knowingness. So you're in a position where you can offer a better solution. If somebody says something that's wrong, you can present something that's right. And because you're nice and calm and peaceful, whoever's in the highest energy wins. Now, isn't that a good reason to let go of all of your resistance, to be completely imperturbable? And not mind whether you do something or not. You see that?
Yeah.
All right. So then you see the ego, the remaining ego right there.
Yeah.
And who does that ego belong to?
Well, me. Yeah.
It's just a thought in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's something that you imagine. The ego doesn't even exist. You're just imagining it. Imagining this voice in your head. And it has no intelligence of its own. It can't give you any extraordinary answers or information. All it can give you is information that you recorded into it from the past.
Mhm.
And all that mind is just a recording and playback machine.
Yeah.
And then you're pretending like it's something that has power over you.
Yes.
And now that you see it, let it go. See, it's just a thought in your head. So dissolve that thought. After all, you're the owner.
Yes.
All right? Let that go some more.
Yes.
Let that dissolve.
Yeah.
And just drop that ego. That selfish sense of self.
Yeah.
See, it takes a certain bit of selfishness to say, I got to be right. Who cares? There's nothing going on anyway. Just let the whole concept go. And even more. And even more.
Yes.
And how do you feel now?
Relief. Yeah.
Now let's do one more thing. So you got somebody that you interact with that's wrong,
Yeah.
right? Are you disapproving of this person?
Yes.
That's not smart. What do you get out of disapproving of them? Does that solve anything? Does that make things better?
No.
Okay. And who's doing that?
Me.
Could you let go disapproving of them then?
Yes.
And could you let go disapproving of them some more?
Yes.
And could you let go disapproving of them some more?
Yes.
And a little bit more.
Yes.
And a little bit more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Yeah, I'm a lot clearer. I'm a lot clearer on what that our interactions have been like and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I've been resisting his pride, and so yeah,
Yeah.
I've been disapproving of the way he talks. He comes across as being very, proud.
It takes one to know one. He's pushing your pride.
Okay, yeah.
Right? Look for that in yourself. And could you drop that? Could you let go of
Yes.
protecting yourself with pride?
Yes.
See, at the basis, the basis of pride is, hey, I don't want you to be better than me. Don't you dare try to be better than me. Or I'll show you. Probably the same thing that's going on with your dad. So let that go. That's just ego.
Yes.
And it's just a story in your head. Dissolve
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Nigger.
Allahu Akbar!
Oops.
Look at you, man. Look at your face, man.
الشعب السوري بالساحات للمجد بيرفع رايات عم يهتف بثلاث كلمات الله وسوري.
Look at his face, man.
Okay. We got rid of that. Ego. See, look, that's what you live with if you keep on that. Right?
Yeah.
See, every little bit of ego, it's an element of that.
Bro momento. Bro momento.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. There we go. They can make noise. See, listen to ego. You see what an idiot makes you to be an ego. Right? So it's a good lesson to learn. All right, so how do you feel, Eric? Let me unmute you again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So how do you feel now?
I feel fine, other than what's appearing on the chat box right now. It's kind of weird, but
Oh,
other than that,
that's okay.
it's
Bunch of nonsense.
huh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah. All righty. Okay, so, hey Rosa, how are you doing?
Hi, Chris. I'm like same thing with watching all those chat messages. It's like what? My niece
Uh-huh.
told me that Zoom has that that people hack it,
Uh-huh.
and I said no, I've never experienced anything like that, and I've been using it for a long time, and now this.
Uh-huh.
So it's like just wondering what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, good.
All right, so how are you doing?
So I'm doing good, except for one thing that I find myself in the position that I have to move, and I have a lot of stuff to get rid of. And
Uh-huh.
it's a lot of projects that I came up with that I was going to do this and I was going to do that, just crafting projects. And I bought the material, but I never got myself to doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have to move, and now I have to get rid of all the stuff that I have. I can't take everything with me. So I'm having a hard time. I'm feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and don't know what to do with all this.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right, so get in touch with that stress. All right? And can you say yes to it?
Yes,
And could you just say yes to the stress?
yes,
And could you say yes to it some more?
yes,
And could you say yes to it some more?
yes,
And just say yes to the stress.
yes,
And could you say yes to it some more?
yes,
And some more.
yes,
And could you say yes to it even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And could you say yes to the stress even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes,
All right? And so take a look at the pressure that you're putting on yourself. I should do it. I gotta do it.
yeah,
Right? And look, that's just your ego. Why do you need to be doing that?
I was trying to prove to myself that I could do the things that I wanted to do. Like if I see something like a project, I would say, yeah, I can do that. I
Mm-hmm.
would do it. But then it just went on and on. Like I would see something else and I wouldn't do it. Then I would see something else. But the bad thing about all this is that I bought all the material, I spend the money, and now I have to let it go. So it's kind of like a waste of money. And it's like beating myself up for doing all that. And it's not good. I know it's not good, but it's kind of like a cycle that I went through, that I'm going through. Because this is not the first time that I find myself doing this.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, look, can you stop feeding it? Can you see you're disapproving of what's going on?
Yes.
And what does that get you? What are you
Nothing.
accomplishing by doing that?
Nothing, just beating myself up.
Right. And you just said it. I'm beating myself up. You're doing it. So what do you decide to do now? Now that you see it, what do you decide to do?
I don't want that anymore. I don't want that in my life anymore.
You're
But
doing
it's
it. So
kind of
what
like
do you
a habit.
decide right now? Do you decide to be positive and love yourself, or be negative and beat yourself up?
Okay, to be positive.
Okay. So could you let go of disapproving of yourself? Could you?
Yes,
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
yes,
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And even more.
yes.
All right? And how does that feel?
More quiet.
So that's all you need to do. Don't make it complicated. So you got to take charge. So you got to catch yourself. Oh, look at what I'm doing. And don't beat yourself up for beating yourself up. Make a smart decision. All right? If I've been doing this, I'm the only one that can turn this around. And it starts right now. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. You see? That's it. Now, could you give yourself some love?
Yes,
Could you love yourself some more?
yes,
And could you love yourself some more?
yes,
And some more.
yes,
And some more.
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And even more.
yes,
And could you love yourself even more?
yes,
And even more.
yes.
All right? How does that feel?
More quiet.
Now, can you give yourself permission not to do this project? See if
Yes.
that stirs up your ego. Oh no, I got to do it. I made this commitment. I told myself I was going to do it already.
Yeah. Yes,
Right?
basically that's it.
Yeah, so what?
Yes.
Right? Could you let go of having to do it now? And let go of that
Yes.
push, right? Take a look at the wanting there. It's pushing you.
Yes.
Could you let that wanting go?
Yes.
Stop pushing yourself. It's for a bunch of nothing. Right? Could you let that wanting go?
Yes.
And could you let it go some more?
Yes.
And some more.
Yes.
All right? How does that feel?
It feels quiet, very quiet.
Okay. Now, could you allow yourself to do it effortlessly, easily? Just do it.
Yes.
Right? You just allow yourself to do it.
Yes.
And how does that feel? Is it easy? Is it any big deal?
Yeah, that's easy.
All right. And look at where this is coming from.
My mind. My mind, my feelings, my ego.
Okay, and look what you said. My mind, my feelings, my ego.
Yes.
Yeah. And you got a little bit of peace of mind. How did you accomplish that?
By releasing.
Yes, and you did that. So the only one that's going to take care of your mind, your feelings, your ego is you. When you decide to get positive, when you decide to let go of fighting with it, let go of hating it, and just start loving it, then the whole thing quiets down. Your mind, your feelings, your ego. Immediately. So you have to take charge and say, okay, I got this negativity. It's my responsibility, so I'm going to remove it. Yeah? And keep it simple. It's easy. You saw what you just did. It only took a couple of minutes.
Yes.
Yeah. And you're feeling like, oh, okay, I don't need to push myself. I can actually do this easily.
But it feels like it took a person aside from myself to ask the right questions and to release it. Because if I release this on my own, it feels like I go back to the same thing.
What questions did I ask you? I just took you through some basic steps.
Right.
Very, very basic steps. You can do that. You've been doing this long enough. Don't give me that excuse. Look, you're better than that. What you're really telling me is that you don't want to do it. You want somebody to do it for you.
No, I've done it before. I've been releasing.
I know. But look, I know how the ego works.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And everybody else. We're all looking for somebody to do it for us. And so you got to catch yourself. And look, ain't nobody going to do it but me. Right? And you can do it. You just said it. You've done it before. If you've done it before, you can do it now. And you did do it now. All right?
Yes.
All right. Well, keep it up. And take responsibility. You can do it.
Yes.
All
Thank
right.
you.
All right. Thank you, Rosa. All right, Anna.
Hi, Chris.
I was going to scroll back to the chat, but there's so much stuff in the way here.
Yeah.
So you said something about your feelings. Sometimes you said that they don't want to leave.
Yeah, well, I feel like really a lot of resistance. Even now, when you're working with Rose, and you say, "Could you love yourself?" And I just felt like, no, resistance.
Right. See, you're resisting your feelings. It's not that your feelings don't want to leave. You don't like your feelings. So you're constantly pushing them down and then saying that they don't want to leave. Of course they're not going to leave if you're sitting on top of them.
Even if I say yes to them, it still feels the same.
So you've released before. And you're telling me that you can't release now?
I don't know. It's confusing.
It's confusing because you're listening to your mind. Stop talking to that thing. Take charge right now.
Okay.
Take a look. See if you're disapproving of yourself. Are you?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. How does that help you?
It doesn't.
And who's doing it?
I'm doing it.
Okay, so if you're doing it and it doesn't help you, now you got to make a decision. I'm going to be positive and love myself, or I'm going to be negative and beat myself up. What do you decide?
I decide to be positive and love myself.
Okay. So could you let go of disapproving of yourself?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of yourself even more?
Yes.
And how does that feel?
It feels lighter.
Now, could you give yourself some approval?
Yes.
Just because. Just because you can. Could you like yourself?
Yes.
And could you like yourself a little bit more?
Yes.
And could you like yourself a little bit more?
Yes.
And could you like yourself even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And how do you feel now?
Feels even more lighter.
Okay. See, that's you moving out of your mind. And how long did that take?
Yeah, but I still feel like some burden on my back.
Okay. Can you let go of disapproving of that burden?
Yes.
Could you let go of disapproving of it some more?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of it some more?
Yes.
And some more?
Yes.
And could you let go of disapproving of it some more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And even more?
Yes.
And how does that feel?
It feels lighter. It's like a less of it.
All right. Or could you give that burden some approval?
Yes.
And could you give it some more approval?
Yes.
And some more?
Yes.
And some more?
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Feels like more acceptance.
More acceptance?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And how does that burden feel? Is it less than it was before?
Yeah, a little bit less. It
Mm-hmm.
feels like it's okay to be.
Yeah. So if the burden is lighter, not as big, then how real can it be?
Mm-hmm.
See, when you're disapproving of it, when you're fighting with it, you don't like it, of course it's real. But when you start making the smart decision, moving towards being positive, being loving, and what you mentioned before, saying yes to your feelings, that's the start of being loving. But what you were doing is you were saying yes, but you weren't meaning it. And notice the difference here. When you just focused in, you saw, okay, I'm going to let go disapprove of myself. And you did it. You didn't just say it, you actually did it. And that's the difference. And it took no time to get more positive, to feel lighter, and to feel like the burden's lifting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's that easy. So you got to pay attention to your mind. It's always going to feed you garbage,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just keep going after dissolving that mind. You can focus on letting go of going to it to figure things out. It's your decision. You can just catch yourself every single time. Stop yourself, which is always followed up by disapproving of yourself. You can catch yourself doing that and make a decision. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let that go right now. And some more and some more. And instead, I'm going to love myself. And that's all you need to do right now. That's it. And you find yourself nice and peaceful and happy. You feel better?
Yeah.
All right. But keep digging. Don't stop. Keep working at this.
Yeah,
Okay?
it feels like I really dig to something really deep.
Well, that's good. Let it come up. It's
Yeah.
just a feeling. It's not even real.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of nothing. So give yourself permission to feel it. You'll just feel it for a couple of seconds. It'll pass through, and then it's gone. All right? All right, bring it all up.
Yeah.
So it's good. You're in a great position. Keep up the good work.
Okay.
All right. Good. Thank you, Anna. Oops. Okay, wait. Oops. Soon. Let's try that again. There you are. Yes. Soon?
Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not to not to be a downer, but just if you had some kind of input or something in regards to loss, as my mother unfortunately is dying from cancer slowly.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we can touch upon it, get started with it, and we can also connect because I saw you in the system recently. Now, do you know much about this releasing work? Have you experienced it before?
Yeah, I have done some work with it now. I wouldn't say I'm advanced in any way, but at least I know the basic principles.
Okay, good. All right, and you have my email address, right? You've been to powerofquiet.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can contact me and we can work on this further, but I'll kind of get you started right here. So we'll just start off nice and simple because this type of call is a simple call. Now, when you think about what's happening to your mother, yeah, all right. What feeling is it bringing up?
Regret, grief,
Okay.
guilt, the whole bunch.
Yeah. And these feelings, they just have a feeling to them. I mean, can you see that you don't like these feelings that you're experiencing right now?
Very much so.
Right. So you're fighting with them, and is that making the feelings go away?
No.
Okay. So if fighting with them isn't making them go away, then let's do the opposite of that. Let's actually move towards them. So on a scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being the most resistance that you have to the grief, the guilt, and the other feelings, and 0 being the least resistance, where are you?
I would say I've really released the last couple of days almost 24/7, so I guess I'm down to a 6 or 7 now.
Okay, good. All right, so you're about a 6 or 7 right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so that 6 or 7, that's just a feeling that you have. Can you say yes to that? Say yes to that resistance.
Yes.
Just say yes to it so it can leave.
Yes.
And could you say yes to that resistance some more?
Yes.
And could you say yes to it some more?
Yes.
And could you say yes to it some more?
Yes.
And some more.
Yes.
And could you say yes to it even more?
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And say yes to it even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
Right? And where are you now on a scale of 0 to 10?
Right now, I would say a 2 or 3.
Okay, good.
That really helped.
Yeah. Now let go pushing down on the rest of that resistance and let it come up. Just welcome up the rest of it and let it pass through. And let it leave some more. And some more.
Yes.
And even more. And how does that feel?
That helped.
All right. So now, can you let go of resisting the guilt and the grief? Let go of pushing away those feelings. Could you let go of wanting to be separate from those feelings? Just a little bit, not too much, just a little.
Yes.
Right? And let go of wanting to be separate from them a little bit more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Lighter. It feels lighter.
Right. Now, can you move towards those feelings? Just open up and let yourself feel the guilt, the grief. Just feel it. Allow yourself to be with it. And allow the grief to arise. Give it some space to be here. Let go of pushing it down. And let it come up. And just be with it. Give it permission to be here. And a little bit more. And a little bit more. And even more. And how does that feel?
It helps. It helps, and it's getting lighter because I'm feeling the tears just below the surface, right? And
All right, surrender
this
to it.
helps.
Yeah, just dive into it. It's just a feeling. Dive right into that grief. Right to the center of it. Don't hold back. Don't resist it. Just open up. Be one with it. And be one with it some more. And some more. And how does that feel?
It also made it much lighter.
Yeah. See, the grief wants to leave,
Yeah.
but you've been pushing it down, fighting with it, and not letting it leave. But when you allow yourself to feel it, it's not a big deal. It's just a feeling. It'll pass through. And see, here's what happens. When you allow it to come up like this, just by surrendering, letting it come up, it leaves. And what opens up is the love. You see, the love that you have to your mother, it gets covered up by the grief and all these stories about how awful it is. But when it's out of the way, what remains is just the love. And that's the quality of your connection, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So welcome it all up. And just allow this love to expand and fill you up. All right? And send me an email, and we can connect offline too, if you
I'll
want
do
to.
that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. All right. Thank you for showing up and doing this work here.
Thank you for the help.
All right, Jan,
Hi, Chris.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good.
I would like to release.
Uh-huh. What would you like to release on?
I want to be more constant in releasing.
Uh-huh. All right.
To release on daily basis.
Okay. And what's in the way? What's the biggest obstacle?
I don't know. Usually my excuse, my escape is I don't have time. I have too much to work.
Okay. And of course that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then you don't have time for anything.
Yeah.
All right, so take a look at what you're telling yourself. Where you don't have time. And you're programming that information into your mind. Making
I'm
it true.
creating this.
All right.
And all sorts of escaping.
Mm-hmm. And are you trying to control all of that? Control the time that you have? Control your escapes?
I think I'm beating myself. I'm beating myself looking at what is happening.
Okay. All right. So could you let go of beating yourself up?
Yes.
And could you let it go a little bit more? Just right now.
Yes.
Right now in this moment. Could you let go of beating yourself up some more?
Yes.
And could you let go of beating yourself up some more?
Yes.
And some more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And could you let go of beating yourself up even more?
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Lighter. Now is something else pops up. I feel a resistance on releasing constant.
Uh-huh. All right.
I feel to release only when I'm in trouble.
Mm-hmm. All right. So what is it then that you're afraid that will happen if you do release constantly? What's behind the resistance? Are you afraid you'll lose something?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Now, can you look at resisting losing that?
Yes.
Because it's not true. It's just your
Yeah.
mind messing with you, right? And it's there to protect the ego, to
Yes.
protect the desires and the thing that the ego says will make you
Yeah.
happy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So can you give yourself permission to lose that? Just right now.
Yes.
I'm not trying to actually lose it, but just give yourself permission right now so you can let your feelings go.
Yes.
Right? And welcome up that resistance.
Yes.
Just let it leave.
Yes.
And let it leave some more.
Yes.
And some more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
It's like it's opening another level. It's like now another escaping or another justification is that I need somebody else to release.
Uh-huh.
It's like I'm not able to do it by my own.
Okay. That's not true. You've done it on your own before.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just your mind. Right? So look, can you let go of taking that so seriously?
Yes.
And whatever your mind is saying to you right now, just say, I love you. That's the best way to not take it seriously. Just whatever it says to you, just respond back, I love you.
Yes.
Right? And that's going to disarm the mind.
Yes.
All right? Right. So, look, I'll play your mind. And whatever
Okay.
I say, just say, I love you.
Yes.
Right? It's really difficult to release on your own.
I love you.
And you just don't have enough motivation sometimes.
I love you.
Right? And isn't it easier to find someone that can do it for you?
I love you.
And you need somebody to do it for you.
I love you.
Because every time you do it yourself, you just kind of sit around and you waste time. You don't really release.
I love you.
And you should beat yourself up for that.
I love you.
And maybe it's just because you're not a good releaser.
I love you.
Or maybe it's because the releasing is no good.
I love you.
So maybe you should find a better solution.
I love you.
There must be one out there.
I love you.
I'll help you find it. Let's go take a look.
I love you.
Right? But first, let's watch TV.
I love you.
And let's go play some games.
I love you.
Yeah, we can get to that later. You got plenty of time.
I love you.
All right. How does that feel?
I felt the challenge each time you said something. Like I was very close to agree with you, but then saying I love you, I become lighter and lighter and more able to not to listen to them.
Yeah. See, the key is to move out of the mind, to move into a place of quiet. Right? And this is the simplest way to get started. It's just look at the mind. It's just a sound. The sound that's talking to me. And I'm not going to take it so seriously. I'm just, whatever it says, even if it says, this is extremely important.
Yeah.
I love you. I just love you.
I was used to to make it very important.
Mm-hmm.
to analyze, to understand,
Yeah.
have insights.
We all
It's
do.
a big habit.
Yeah. But you see, every master points in the same direction, quieting the mind. So when you focus on that, then that focus is clear. And it's not difficult to quiet the mind. You just have to move in that direction, right? Instead of taking actions that only feed the mind, right?
Yeah.
So,
Breathing.
so right now you can get quiet because you're the owner of your mind. Just get nice and quiet right now.
Yeah.
Whatever urgency that your mind has, it's not so urgent. Just right now, get quiet.
Yes.
Let your mind go quiet.
Yes.
And focus on the quiet that's all around you. It's ever present. It's in the space that's around you right now. Notice the quiet that's there around you right now.
Yes.
Could you surrender to that quiet? Just dive into it
Yes.
and let yourself be quiet.
Yes.
Are you quiet?
Much more.
Yeah. Now in quiet, is there any problem? Take a look.
No.
Yeah. See, in quiet there's clarity. And do you need more information in quiet?
Seems not.
No. Quiet is all that you need. And all the answers are there for the taking.
Yes.
I read a very interesting thing from Lester earlier. I can't find it anymore. But it's on the recording.
I wasn't.
Yeah. I
beginning.
saw that you came a little bit later, but I started the call off with the nice long read from Lester, where he talks about how we use the mind, and we use it to all the thinking that we value. It's all comparison. We're taking information, we're comparing it with other information. And that's
Yes.
what we do all the time. And we try to gather more information so we can expand these connections.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is a waste of time. You don't get any more information that way. But what happens is when you get quiet, then everything that you need just comes to you. All information is there for the taking, right in the moment. And you don't need thinking to facilitate that. You just take what you need and use it in the moment. Right? So, right now, could you let go of your mind? Now that you have some clarity, you can see what your mind is. It's just
Yes.
like a dumb little machine. That's all it is. Now, could you let it go a little bit? Just surrender your mind over to quiet.
Yes.
And could you surrender to quiet even more?
Yes.
And could you surrender to quiet even more?
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And even more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
Quiet.
Yeah. And from this place, is it easy to release on your own? To dig deep? Can you?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the best place to release, because you could really dig deep when your mind is quiet, because there's nothing there distracting you, not as much. Now take a look at having enough time to do everything that you want to do. to work with people, to be with your family, and to work with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Do you have enough time? Or is there still a lack there?
It's still a lack.
Okay.
It seems it's not easy, but it's also from my mind.
Yeah. So you short circuit it by giving it permission to not be easy.
Okay.
So it's decided to be imperturbable despite what's going on.
Okay.
To be positive. And say, well, I'm going to make the best out of it. I'm going to do it no matter what. So what if it isn't easy? I'm going to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just in a nice, loving, positive way. So could you just give acceptance to that not being easy?
Yes.
And could you accept it some more?
Yes.
And could you love it not being easy?
Yes.
Just love it.
Yes.
And could you love it some more?
Yes.
And some more.
Yes.
And how does that feel?
I feel joy.
Yeah.
It was a resistance.
Yeah. See?
Now I can see.
Yeah. And is it true that it's not easy? Or doesn't it really matter if you have joy? So what?
It doesn't really matter. It's just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah. So now if it's just a thought, look at that thought and take like a mental eraser to it. Just dissolve that thought. Hand it over to quiet.
Yeah, it feels like I'm bigger than it.
Uh-huh. And let it go some more.
Yes.
Surrender that thought over to quiet. Just let it dissolve away into quiet.
Yes.
And even more. And even more.
Yes.
And how do you feel now?
I feel loving.
Good.
I see now it was my creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, could you allow yourself to have the time to release?
Yes. Even if my mind is asking me how.
Well, it doesn't know how.
I can, yeah,
so you have to pay attention to it. It doesn't know. So, okay, leave it alone.
Yes. Yes.
See, it's telling you it's dumb.
Yes.
So pay attention to it. Okay, I hear you. I'm going to let you sit in the corner with the dunce hat on.
Yeah, I'm beyond this.
Yeah.
I feel now I'm bigger and beyond this.
Yeah.
So I can allow it.
Yeah. And you see with the
energetical level, I can allow it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you see now you have some clarity what you need to do, because there is a mind, there is some momentum to it there. And every bit of its momentum is what you put into it. You created that thing. And so whatever it takes, you gotta get rid of it. Right? And that's where the releasing comes in. And then you just decide, okay, that is important enough for me to go ahead and give it priority. I'm going to do the work. And however I can be very practical with it. Okay, I'm going to schedule time. If I had to do it that way, I'll just do it. So even if it's just 15 minutes, I'm going to sit down and
now I see
exercise.
How I created this.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't know, 2 years ago, I took a decision to pay my loan, my credit from the bank. And I put this, I chose this like my priority. And now it has effect on me. Because it feels like it's the most important. So releasing force in the second place, third place. Now I see how I created this escaping. I don't have time. It was a decision from the past.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, you made the decision. Now you can erase that decision. You see, you just drop it. A lot of times when you see it and how silly it is, it drops automatically. Because you're in charge.
Yes, I decide to be imperturbable, and from imperturbability to have all I need to do whatever I want to do.
All right.
Thank you
Very
much.
good. Thank you. Okie dokie. So we'll go ahead and conclude here. This is a great evening. Lots of great work, even though we had a brief interruption in the middle there. It's okay. We took care of it. And notice, I pointed out earlier when all that came up, that's ego for you. And that's what we all have inside of us. I mean, as kind of as raunchy and, crazy as that was, that's what's inside of all of us. And that's a good reason why we should really make it a mission of ours to get rid of our whole ego. Not save a little bit, not hang on to a piece of it just in case. Because even if you hold on to just a little piece of it, it's going to grow and fester and become something just crazy. All right? So you obviously don't want to carry that around with you. And it's your responsibility. So take the steps. Do what it takes to get rid of that ego. You get rid of it fast. You can. All right? That's everything that Lester pointed out. He always said that it's simple and it's easy if you do it. If you don't do it, it's impossible. It's difficult. But if you do it, and that's what we proved out here. Every single one of us that did the work here. Lots of people came on and said, oh yeah, I've been having some difficulty. Yeah, I've been struggling to do it on my own. Or yeah, I've been struggling with it. And just real fast, we get into it and you start doing it, and what was difficult immediately becomes easy. All right? So pay attention to that. And just decide, right? I'm not going to continue carrying around this ego. It's no good. I'm going to get rid of this thing. I'm going to go free. All right? So do the smart thing. All right? So thank you for being here, and we'll see you. Take care, everybody.